listening to The Marc Cox Show. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
But this is a means for us to say, look, we do not want this anymore. And we need to sit down in a thoughtful manner and figure out, taking freedom of speech into account, how to shorten the length. And if this were on the ballot right now as an issue, I guarantee you it would pass.
Did you recognize that voice? Sheryl Crow, the singer, who what was that book that Laura Ingraham wrote, Shut Up and Sing? Sheryl Crow has got an effort out. She wants to shorten the election. She wants to put it on the ballot nationwide, that the entire election season would be like 6 weeks long, start to finish. They're all I can figure, and I haven't thought it through a great deal, is that there must be some advantage for the liberals if that's what happens. Let's face it. That's got to be what it is if Sheryl Crow's pushing it.
There's not a whole lot of time for people to dump stuff in 6 weeks.
Well, that could be it. There's not enough time for a hacker to effectively take
Here's
over.
Here's your candidate 6 weeks later.
All right, let me get to the one and only Speaker Tim Jones on the phone right now. Tim, how are you?
Hey, good, Mark. Good to talk to you, and hello to Liz, too. She's the best thing you got going there. I hope you know that.
I do know that. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's the way. You've had a long day, man. You were up early with Allman this morning.
Yeah, I've traveled half the state today. We started off this morning in Columbia because Jamie and I were up there last night for a Roy Blunt fundraiser with special guest Carly Fiorina in the flesh.
Oh, nice.
And that was fun. And Carly is traveling the country working for senatorial and House candidates, and I give her a lot of credit for, she lost. She eventually, stepped out of the presidential primary, but she did not take her toys and go home, Mark. She's out there on the front line still working for as many people as she can, which I think is really admirable for her.
Glad to hear that. Within the hour, about an hour ago, a new poll came out showing an update on these Missouri races. Not Trump or Blunt, but it is all of the Missouri governor, attorney general, those sorts of things. Any surprises in there, Tim?
So, Mark, I've got two polls here. I sent you a lot of information. There was one poll that came out late on Sunday, so it's only a couple days old, and it's got all the statewide in it. The one I just sent you, you may not have even seen it yet. It's really fresh.
I have.
It does have Trump, Clinton in it, Coster, Greitens, and then Amendment 3.
Let me look, because I might not have gotten that one. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So let's start with the one that's just 48 hours old. It's a very fresh poll. It's the Mo Scout poll. We've been talking about this one all election cycle, and it has been a more consistent type of poll to me because it hasn't had a lot of wild swings in it. There's been sort of a steady trajectory up or down. So let's start at the top. In this poll, Chris Coster is outpacing Eric Greitens by 9 points, 48-39. Now, in the Mo Scout polling over the last few weeks, basically Coster started with a narrower lead a couple months ago after the primary, and he has steadily added to that lead. Russ Carnahan, Mike Parson, very tight race, 3 points. Russ Carnahan up by 3. I think the only thing going here, Mark, is what's going on here is Carnahan still has a vestige of name ID for Missourians.
Right.
Mike Parson, he would be a great lieutenant governor. I know him very well. He's just a little bit of an unknown entity still. He's only trailing by 3 points, so within the margin of error. And he could pull that out, and we could continue to have a Republican lieutenant governor to follow in the footsteps of Peter Kinder, who was a fantastic lieutenant governor. We go down to Secretary of State, Mark, and Jay Ashcroft, son of John Ashcroft. There you go. There's that name ID, right?
I do, yeah.
On my mind. Jay Ashcroft has led from the very beginning for Secretary of State. He maintains his lead 47-41 over Robin Smith. Attorney General, Mark, huge race because we could have a Republican Attorney General. We could have a sea change in the AG's office for the first time in 24 years if Republican Josh Hawley maintains his lead that he has also had from the very beginning, the day after the primary, 49% to Teresa Hensley's 44%. So Josh maintains that lead. He's about to crack 50%. He's the closest one to that 50%, that magic number there.
Good.
And finally, last but not least, Right here in St. Louis County, we've got another Republican running, Eric Schmidt, state senator. He is maintaining his lead of 46 over Judy Baker's 40% in the treasurer's race. So you've got three Republicans maintaining their leads they've had from all along. Russ Carnahan and Mike Parson locked in a very close battle, and Chris Koster maintaining the one Democrat maintaining a significant lead in this set of polling throughout.
And Koster, just to point out, is getting a lot of Republican crossover votes, correct? And that's what the polling shows?
Yeah, I think, yes, absolutely, Mark. And there's a number of reasons there. Eric Greitens is a relative newcomer. He has really shaken up the political scene by running a campaign that has some echoes of the Trump candidacy. You've got the outsider message. You've got the clean up the corruption in Jeff City message. You've got someone who, says, look, hey, I've accomplished a lot in the not-for-profit world, having a very successful not-for-profit. The mission continues. I'm a Navy SEAL. I know how to be a leader. But he's very new on the scene versus Chris Koster, who is a well-known entity in Missouri. He is someone who is respected on both sides of the aisle. He got the NRA endorsement, probably one of the few Democrats left in the country to pull out an NRA endorsement, especially over a Navy SEAL. And he used to be a Republican. Chris Koster was a Republican until he ran in the first Obama term for Attorney General. So you've got a lot of crossover and confusion here. And, I'm going to say, though, this race is not over because we have a volatile electorate. And polls are one thing, but the only poll that matters is going to be the one in 13 days.
How about the national? You said there were some national numbers in the other poll. What did that show in Missouri?
Yes. So the Missouri Times poll, Mark, which has been coming out consistently every Wednesday over the last several weeks, has three updates for us today. They did a gubernatorial poll. Their gubernatorial polling, their governor's race polling, has wildly fluctuated.
Yeah.
Chris Koster has been anywhere from 16 points up in this poll to today, he's only up 2.
Wow.
So in this poll, Eric Greitens is well within the margin of error, and this shows basically a dead heat. So that's why I say, pick your poll here. I think this comes out to turnout in 13 days. We always say that. But, I say it's more important this year, Mark, because as you've been talking about, there's very few undecided voters yet. So if there's very few undecided voters, whoever gets their people out with their get-out-the-vote effort, they're going to be the winner. Trump, Clinton, I am happy. I do hope this is correct as a common-sense conservative, Mark. Trump has regained his double-digit lead in Missouri, 50% to Clinton's 39%. Why is that important? It's very important not only for all the statewide races I mentioned, but for Roy Blunt. Roy Blunt likes seeing this number. Roy Blunt has not unhitched his wagon from Donald Trump, which I think is very smart, because I think if you do that, you're going to lose your base, and you're going to have a lot of circular firing squad going on.
Right.
Roy Blunt has maintained his support of Donald Trump. I think he's going to benefit from that. Today's numbers show Trump back to double digits. The final thing we got, Mark, is on Amendment 3. That's one of the cigarette tax increases.
Yeah.
This has been all over the board, too. Amendment 3 was winning up until a week ago or so, the last poll I saw. In this poll, Amendment 3 is losing 40 to 53.
Good.
So there you go.
Good. I'm glad people are paying attention to that. So Roy Blunt is, what was that number again?
So I don't have a Roy Blunt number. I was just
Blunt
comparing it to the Trump number.
Okay, all right.
I have heard, Mark, that I have heard from my sources, my internal sources, that Roy Blunt is ahead. But it is a lead that they would like to widen. So therefore, nobody should presume that Roy Blunt has it in the bag, quote unquote. Roy wants every single Republican in this state to go out and vote, and don't presume that anything is taken for granted. I was just with him last night in Carly Fiorina, and that was the message that was given to us. Don't assume that anybody on your ballot has it in the bag. They only have it in the bag after the last vote is counted on November the 8th.
Remember, they're sending crazy Uncle Joe to St. Louis to campaign for
said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here or walk out, put that double-barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts outside the house.
Crazy Uncle Joe. So I said this earlier.
Crazy Camaro Joe. That's right, Mark.
I said it earlier. Could you imagine if Donald Trump had suggested that he wanted to take the sitting vice president of the United States behind the gym and beat him up? what the reaction would have been in the media, but Biden says it, and they all laugh about it.
Mark, is the hypocrisy? I mean, I hope folks have really been paying attention because, you and I and Jamie and everybody else at 97.1 and on Common Sense Conservative Radio across the country, we've been trying to convince people of this for years, if not decades.
Right.
We now have rock-solid proof. And you know what? You're right. If Trump had said that, that would have been the Trump story of the day, wouldn't it have been? That would have been,
absolutely.
That would have been dusk to dawn and over again. They would have beat it. They would have beat that dead horse 50,000 times tonight on all the talking head shows, on MSNBC and CNN, and it would have. You're right. It would have been the only thing discussed. But Joe says, "Oh, that crazy old Uncle Joe."
Tim, I got to run. Thanks for your time.
Thanks so much, Mark.
All right.
Great to talk to you.
Thank you. As former House Speaker Tim Jones calling in there with those latest poll numbers for you. All right. Quick break.